Welcome to our last cooking class of the year. This cooking class will be focused on things that are children friendly. We're going to be making butter biscuits, especially as it's getting colder and the holidays are coming up. We also will be making quiche, and we have tofu to go with the butter biscuit. We won't actually make the tofu here on camera, but it is already made and we will upload the recipe to you. And also we have fresh fruit to go with our biscuits. We're going to get started with, so the recipe I'm doing, Nala, can you give me the recipe for the biscuits? Thank you. So the recipe I'm going to be doing extras just because I always try to do extras just for those people that will be stopping by. The recipe calls for 2 cups of flour. So first, before we get started, we want to do our egg replacer, which it requires half a tablespoon, but of course I'm doing 4 times the recipe, so I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. And we're going to mix that with water. And we'll start the rest of the recipe because this has to be mixed ahead of time, just so it could set and dissolve. And this, you don't have to use the egg replacer, but it does make the biscuits a little bit fluffier when you do use the egg replacer, but you don't have to use the egg replacer. So we're starting with our 2 cups of all-purpose flour, but like I said, I'm going to be doing 8 cups. And this is the particular brand of flour that I use. I like this brand. And then we're going to do 4 cups of self-rising flour because it just gives the biscuits a little lighter lift. Nala, can you get a whisk and whisk that for me, please? Now we're going to add the sugar. I use evaporated cane juice for my sugar. And then we're going to do the baking powder. And I use aluminum-free baking powder. Okay. And then we're going to do the cream of tartar. So we're going to mix our dry ingredients together. And we're going to add in the butter. Now, the most important part about this recipe is that your butter is frozen. So that's why it's in the freezer. So you want to make sure your butter is as cold as possible. And that's what gives you that light, flaky biscuit. I'm using the Earth Balance butter, which is plant-based. And then we're gonna cut in the butter. Once we cut in the butter, we will then add the egg and the milk. Nala, can you put these things away for me? You want to cut that butter in, not too small because you want to leave some chunks of butter. So if it's not all the way cut in, that's okay. If you have a KitchenAid, this can be done in your KitchenAid. I prefer to do it by hand because it's just easier for me. But you can use your KitchenAid to mix in the butter. So we're going to add our milk. I prefer to use flaxseed milk, but you can use any milk. This one is soy milk. Let me add the egg. So for this recipe, if you're doing just one, I'm doing 4 times the recipe, so I'm using 4 cups of milk. So you can roll this out with a rolling pin. You could do it with your hand. And I do have the biscuit cutter, so you can cut them with a biscuit cutter, or you can be creative and use anything round you have, around glass or anything like that. Can we spray the pans for the biscuit and turn on the oven to 450? These are very large biscuits. You could make them smaller. My kids like the bigger biscuits. Plus, they eat less, it seems like, when I make the bigger biscuits. So I prefer doing the larger biscuits. So this, you could buy the biscuit cutter, or you can use any round thing that you have in your home. So we're gonna bake the biscuits at 450 for 15 minutes.